If you think your GMAT score or job performance alone will fetch you a top tier MBA admit, if you think so, you are not quite right. The truth is, admissions committees are looking way beyond the surface. They want future leaders who are curious, self aware, emotionally intelligent, and ready to make a real world impact. And while there is no magic formula for getting in, I've always seen a clear pattern over the years. There are certain common traits that successful applicants almost always bring to the table. So in this video, I'm going to break down 11 qualities that top business schools really care about. And more importantly, I'm going to show you how you can bring them in your application with real practical examples. So if you master these patterns, you will be in a much stronger position to stand out. Quality 1, academic ability and intellectual curiosity. Business schools want to see that you can handle the academic pressure of an MBA, but they also want to see that you are someone who is genuinely interested in learning. So they will definitely check your GPA, your coursework, and the stature of your university. But that doesn't stop there. They're also looking for signs that you have challenged yourself even after graduation. Maybe you have taken a tough class outside of your concentration, or maybe kept learning even after college because you wanted to grow. This kind of curiosity really stands out. So here are a few examples that show how you can effectively highlight this quality in your essays. My academic record reflects a meaningful progression. While I began college with a 3.0 GPA, I graduated with a 4.0 in my final year. This shift was the result of improved time management, greater clarity in my goals, and a deeper intellectual engagement with my coursework. It also reflects my ability to adapt and thrive in increasingly rigorous academic environment. This example shows academic ability through measurable improvement in GPA and intellectual curiosity through increased engagement and effort in progressively challenging coursework. Example 2. With a background in literature, I realized the importance of strengthening my quantitative foundation in preparation for a business career. I subsequently completed coursework in statistics and financial modeling and applied these skills in my role as a budgeting manager for a nonprofit. This combination of academic effort and practical application demonstrates both intellectual curiosity and adaptability. Now, this response highlights intellectual curiosity by voluntarily pursuing rigorous quantitative subjects. It also highlights academic ability through the successful application of those skills in a professional context. Quality 2, leadership potential. MBA programs are all about building future leaders. So admissions teams are looking for signs that you have already started showing leadership in your own way. It's not just about fancy job titles. They want to see real examples of you taking initiative, stepping up, and influencing others, whether that's at work or in a student club or through a community project. It's about the impact you have made, not just the role that you have played. Let's take a look at how you can bring this trait to life in your application. Example 1. When I was tasked with leading a cross-functional team to implement a new CRM system, many team members were hesitant due to unfamiliarity with the new technology. I facilitated open discussions to understand their concerns, aligned our goals, and developed a phased rollout plan that addressed individual needs. The project was completed ahead of schedule and with strong team buy-in. This example demonstrates the ability to lead diverse stakeholders, manage resistance to change, and achieve alignment through communication and empathy. These are some of the key leadership qualities in an MBA application. Example 2. Although I wasn't responsible for documentation, I created a comprehensive technology matrix that organized all product features and use cases for global teams. It eventually became a go-to reference for over 300 bankers worldwide. I saw a gap, stepped in, and created something lasting without being asked. This incident reflects proactive leadership in that the applicant identifies a need, takes initiative without authority, and creates organizational impact, each of which are a sign of a self-driven leader. Quality 3. Teamwork and interpersonal skills. Business schools and business in general is all about working with people. That's why schools emphasize so much on collaboration, strong relationships, and working in team together, especially when things are tough. They want to know that you can handle group dynamics and help move everyone forward, not just doing your part. Let's look at the following examples as a guide to how you can showcase this quality in your essay. During a group assessment exercise, I noticed that a few team members were hesitant to speak up. I invited them to share their thoughts, summarized key points from everyone, and encouraged the team by acknowledging their valuable inputs. This helped build a more collaborative and balanced discussion. This response demonstrates the ability to foster inclusivity manage group dynamics, and create a positive team environment, all of which are core aspects of effective teamwork. Example 2. Although it wasn't part of my job, I organized monthly team lunches and kept track of team members' birthdays to celebrate milestones together. I also initiated a volunteer day that helped strengthen our team's sense of purpose beyond our daily tasks. Now, this story highlights emotional intelligence and team spirit, showing the applicant as someone who contributes to a supportive, engaged, and cohesive team culture. Quality 4. Strong communication skills. Clear communication is a big deal in both MBA programs and the real business world. Admissions teams want to see that you can share your ideas in a way that's clear, confident, and engaging, whether it's through your essays, interviews, or just the way you talk about your experience. It's not just about what you say, but it's also about how you say it. Below are a few practical ways in which you can highlight this quality in your essays. In a previous role, I worked with a client who felt our team had overpromised on deliverables, creating tension in the relationship. To rebuild trust, I introduced a transparent reporting system and held weekly check-ins to realign expectations. Over time, the partnership improved and the client even renewed their contract by another year. This response demonstrates clear, structured oral communication and the ability to resolve conflict through proactive, transparent communication, which is the key indicator of strategic communication skills. Example 2. A well-written detailed recommendation letter. I have consistently relied on Arpita to lead client presentations because of her exceptional communication skills. She has a unique ability to distill complex technical concepts into clear, business relevant language, making them particularly effective with both technical and non technical stakeholders. One instance that stands out is when she led a critical client briefing that directly contributed to closing a high value deal. In fact, the client specifically noted how well informed and confident they felt after her presentation. This recommendation highlights third party validation of the applicant's communication skills, emphasizing clarity, adaptability, and business impact, all of which are valued in MBA programs. Quality 5. Maturity. Well, maturity isn't just about how old you are, it's as much about how you handle life and learn from it. Admissions committees are looking for people who are grounded, self aware, and ready for the challenges of an MBA. If you're early in your career, things like internships or starting something on your own can really show that you are ready to take responsibility and grow. Following examples show what it looks like when this quality is effectively communicated in your application. I have always struggled with handling conflict directly, which I realized was limiting my effectiveness as a team lead. To address this challenge, I enrolled in a negotiation and conflict resolution course and began actively applying what I learned in client meetings and team reviews. Over time, I became more confident navigating through conversations and found that my relationships improved as a result. This response reflects self awareness, a willingness to own a weakness, and a proactive commitment to personal growth, all of which are hallmarks of maturity. Example 2. During college, I led a small digital design startup where I managed client accounts, budgeting, and a team of three. Balancing this alongside my studies forced me to become highly disciplined and taught me the value of delivering on commitments. It was my first real experience with leadership and responsibility, and it shaped my work ethic. This example shows that even as a younger applicant, this candidate has taken on real world responsibility and learned valuable lessons through that experience. Quality 6. Analytical and problem solving skills. MBA programs really value people who can think critically and solve problems, whether it's diving into data or working through complex real world situations. If you have tackled tough situations, made smart decisions, or used analysis to drive results, then that's exactly the kind of thinking schools want to see in your application. Let's see how you can actually show some of these qualities in your essays. Example 1. While working on a pricing strategy project, I noticed our bids for large contracts were consistently undercut by competitors. By analyzing historical pricing data and identifying hidden overhead costs, I redesigned our cost model, allowing us to bid more competitively without sacrificing margins. As a result, we won two new contracts worth $500,000. This example demonstrates the ability to analyze complex data, identify inefficiencies, and implement a practical solutions with measured business impact. Example 2. Faced with declining engagement on a customer platform, I considered but rejected standard fixes like UI fixes. I interviewed users, analyzed behavior patterns, and realized the real issue was a lack of tailored content. By launching a dynamic content algorithm, we saw a 35% increase in the retention rate within 2 months. The candidate showcases critical thinking and creativity, solving the problem through deep analysis rather than default solutions. These are key elements of strategic problem solving. Quality 7, character and integrity. When it comes to evaluating applicants, business schools aren't just looking at what you have achieved, they also care about how you got there. They want to see that you have acted with honesty, stayed true to your values, and made the right calls, even when it wasn't easy. Integrity and character really do matter in MBA applications. So let's take a look at two examples that illustrate how you can embed this trait in your story. Example 1. Last year, I discovered an accounting discrepancy that would have benefited our team if left unreported. But I immediately flagged it to leadership, even though it meant our quality bonus was reduced. My division head wrote that my commitment to doing the right thing without hesitation resonates the organization's values of integrity and trust. This example illustrates the applicant's honesty and ethical decision making, especially when doing so came at a personal or team cost, demonstrating authentic integrity. Example 2. Outside of work, I co-founded a weekend mentorship program for underprivileged high school students interested in STEM. Over the past 2 years, we have helped over 70 students apply to university programs. This work keeps me grounded and reflects my belief that leadership includes a responsibility to uplift others. This response reflects a values-driven mindset and a commitment to service, showing the applicant as someone who uses their skills to positively impact others and act with purpose. Quality 8, ability to contribute to a diverse learning environment or ability to bring unique perspective. Admissions teams aren't just looking for a mix of backgrounds, they're actually looking for a mix of perspectives. What really matters is the unique lens you bring to the table, your experience, your outlook, and how you will contribute to the conversations and learnings that happen in the classroom. So if you're wondering how to reflect this in your writing, here are a couple of examples that will guide you. Example 1. As a research associate at a rural healthcare startup in Mizoram, I led a cost analysis project to optimize supply chain logistics without affecting patient care. Working in a resource limited, high stakes environment taught me how to innovate under pressure and navigate the challenges of building systems in underserved markets. I look forward to bringing this perspective to case discussions on operations and social impact strategy projects. This example highlights first hand experience in an uncommon industry and context, offering a global and entrepreneurial point of view that can enrich classroom discussions. Example 2. By day, I worked as an accountant managing high stake audits. By night, I performed stand up comedy in local clubs. Balancing analytical rigor and the spontaneity of live performance has taught me how to communicate complex ideas in relatable ways, skills that I bring to both professional teams and peer discussions. This juxtaposition of talents reflects a multidimensional background, signaling that the applicant will bring creativity, humor, and perspective to a diverse MBA cohort. Quality 9, cross-cultural awareness and international perspective. In today's global business world, being able to work across cultures really matters. Whether you have worked with international teams, studied or lived abroad, or just have a genuine interest in global issues, showing that you are comfortable in diverse settings tells schools that you are ready to thrive in a multicultural MBA classroom. Here are illustrative examples of how this attribute can be conveyed in your essays. While leading a joint research project with a partner team in South Korea, I quickly realized that my usual direct communication style was causing discomfort. I adapted by using more formal language, prioritizing consensus building, and being mindful of hierarchy in meetings. This shift led to smoother collaboration and ultimately a successful product launch. Now, this response reflects the applicant's ability to recognize cultural differences, adapt behavior, and communicate effectively in a global context. These are all essential skills in an international business setting. Example 2. As an Asian, visiting Namibia was both a personal and historical journey. I made conscious efforts to engage with the locals, learn about the country's history, and reflect on how collective memory shapes identity. The experience deepened my appreciation for cultural complexity and the values of open dialogue. This response demonstrates cultural sensitivity, openness, and self reflection, showing that the applicant is willing to engage thoughtfully with people who are very different from his own culture. Quality 10, self-awareness and self-assessment. MBA programs aren't just looking for a list of your accomplishments. In fact, they want to see how well you understand yourself. Can you take honest feedback? Can you admit mistakes and grow from them? Showing this kind of self-awareness and willingness to learn goes a long way in your application progress. Here are a few examples you can model as you develop your own narrative. I have always been strongly opinionated and tend to push forward with my ideas, sometimes at the expense of team consensus. After realizing that this was affecting collaboration, I began actively soliciting input during meetings and even asked a peer to give me real time feedback. Over time, I have become more intentional about listening and adapting my approach as needed. This applicant acknowledges a genuine weakness, demonstrates conscious self reflection, and takes measurable steps towards improvement. These can be core signs of maturity and coachability. Example 2. After a quarterly review, my manager told me that while I was technically strong, I often appeared dismissive in group discussions. Initially, I was surprised, but after reflecting on team interactions and seeking peer input, I understood how my body language and tone could be misinterpreted. Since then, I have made a deliberate effort to be more inclusive and aware of how I can communicate nonverbally. This response shows willingness to accept tough feedback, reflect deeply, and make concrete behavioral changes, demonstrating emotional intelligence and growth potential. Quality 11, resilience and ability to handle pressure. An MBA program can be intense with tight deadlines, constant learning, and a lot of happening at all points in time. That's why schools look for candidates who can stay calm under pressure, bounce back from setbacks, and still perform at high level. Resilience isn't just a bonus, it's a must. So here is how you can successfully show this trait in your application. I once proposed automating a manual reporting system even though I knew it could disrupt workflows in the short term. The rollout faced technical glitches and resistance, and ultimately we reverted to a hybrid model. But I learned how to better assess change management risks and pilot ideas more gradually. The experience made me more resilient and strategic under pressure. This response reflects the applicant's willingness to take thoughtful risks, accept failures, and extract valuable lessons, showing that the candidate has potential for emotional resilience. Example 2. When a key supplier delay caused a 2-week production backlog, I tried to quickly coordinate between logistics, procurement, and operations to avoid a major client loss. I set up daily war room calls, reallocated shifts, and secured a temporary vendor within 48 hours. The crisis sharpened my ability to lead under pressure and make fast, high impact decisions. This response highlights the candidate's crisis management skills, ability to stay composed, and deliver results in a high pressure, time sensitive environment. So let's look at the conclusion. These traits like intellectual curiosity, resilience, and cross cultural awareness aren't just things admissions committees want to see on paper. They are more about who you are, how you have grown, and what you will bring to the MBA community. So if you're serious about putting together a standout application, take the time to reflect on your real experiences and find the stories that show these qualities in action. If you would like help shaping your personal stories so they truly shine in your essays, interviews, and recommendations, Straight Admits has your back. Click on the link below to set up a free consultation with me and start building your strongest application together. Until then, stay sharp.